Welcome back to Dealer Confidential. I'm Hal Fader. No, I'm not Hal Fader. I'm only kidding. Hal's not with us today. He is with his family doing a little vacation time. And Joe and I thought we'd give him the day off. What do you think, Joe?
Well deserved. Absolutely.
Absolutely well
He's
deserved.
enjoying himself in
Yep.
warm weather.
We'll be sending him this podcast right as soon as we're finished. But again, welcome back to Dealer Confidential. Today is going to be for Joe and I, very exciting because we were both heavily involved in the topic of today, which is body shops. I owned a body shop for a long time. I still have my restoration shop, and Joe has been involved with body shops most of his life as well. And we find that it's a absolutely critical part of any buy-sell that we do, either from a detriment or a positive side. So we'll be discussing all of that today and how future buyers and sellers could capitalize on either utilizing a body shop or even creating a body shop where it might be allowed in your state or your municipality. So let's get started, Joe.
Absolutely.
My experiences, as I said before, I grew up in the car dealerships. My father always owned a body shop and was partners in body shops. I spent most of my time with my father in the body shop rather than in the dealerships, just because I loved it. And I carried it through after, kept my Mustang and Shelby body shop going and my restoration shop. Basically restoration I was into, not really body shop. We didn't do much of the take in from the street type of thing, which I think you'll be able to address more than I will. Mine was strictly restorations, highline, super highline restorations, and then showing them, selling them, and trading, that type of thing. So tell us a little bit about your side, and then we'll get into how we're going to make this work for our buyers and sellers.
I mean, I think to your point earlier, Greg, when you started the commentary, is dealers have to make their mind up. If you're going to be in the body shop business, there's a couple of ways you can be in the body shop business. Now, I know many organizations that don't do any retail work. They do strictly just their recon work internally for their cars. So, these are big operations with big inventories. And unfortunately, there's a lot of damage. The loaner cars get banged up a lot and things of that nature. So for those dealers, they have the body shop to be able to minimize costs and also to increase efficiency, because if they control the body shop, they can get the cars in and out faster.
Yes, exactly.
That's one area where a dealer can say, I'm not looking to do really retail work. Now, the other flip side of that coin is other dealers go, absolutely not, because that's where I make a lot of money. Then you got to flip that coin into dealing with the insurance companies, bringing the cars in with the consumers, writing up the RO. And there's a lot of money that can be made, because think about this. Let's say you're a Ford store, okay, and you've got a body shop, and everybody's bringing the Fords back to you, or maybe there are other cars, but certainly if it's a Ford product, not only are you doing the body work, but it's always the fact that you're going to need mechanical work. Well, you've got the shop right there, so you can flip the car to the other side of the shop, get mechanical work done, add it to the RO, and again, efficiency, timing. You can get that car out of the shop faster for the consumer. That's most guys who are in the body shop world, that's what they like to do, and that's what they're in it for. Like I said, but I know many others who, the retail, really needs a lot of hands-on people, right? I mean, it's a whole separate department. You can't treat it like, it's just an addition to the service department. No, it's you got to run it like a separate department. And to your comment earlier, which is, again, depending on the state, you really got to be cautious and careful how you operate, because some states are a little lenient, with OSHA. Other states are not. New Jersey, where we're at, is absolutely brutal. I mean, if somebody walks by and says they smell paint, you're going to have an agent down there in 2 seconds. So all of those things to consider, right? Yeah. I mean, it's really, really important.
So let's jump out. Let's talk about buy and sell. Okay, the first thing I ask when Hal comes to me with a prospective sell opportunity, and I'm looking at a buy opportunity, there's two things I ask. I want to take a look at what what the service department is doing, because I'm a 105% guy for the service department. If the service department's generating 105% of the overall revenue of the store, then you've got a real good opportunity to continue that and make some money. So I always the first thing I look at is body shop absorption, and I look for it to be over 100 or at 100. The second thing I ask, and Hal knows this, it's critical, is what other areas does that franchise have or potential to make money that may be either underutilized or not showing fully in this financial statement. Example, the body shop may be under a different corporation. than the OEM manufacturer's franchise. But it's in the same building, or it's a attached building, or it's still owned by the same owners, but it's a different property. It's a different business. Is that included in the sale? I want to know that. We need to know that ahead of time. And then we need to look, if it's separate corp, we need to look at those financials separately. If it is not a separate corp and it's contained in the financial statement, then you're 100% right. We need to see where it is. Where did they put the revenue? Where did they put the expenses? Where did they put all of that in that seller's financial statement? Is it there? Is it obvious? Is it prominent? And what are they doing with it? And the second thing I ask, and we could talk about this next, is after we get those two things ironed out on the sell side, we then have to look at the buy side. And we could address that right now. The buy side is, does your buying dealer want a body shop? You pointed out three unbelievable points that any purchaser of a franchise, hopefully with a body shop, would realize that you have a self-contained opportunity to fix, repair, and get your pre-owned vehicles and or your rental vehicles out in an incredible amount of time compared to sending it to the body shop down the street run by Joe Smith. Okay. Number two, if you are in an area that you are in Automotive Row, let's say, and most of the dealerships in that Automotive Row do not have body shops, guess what? That body shop that you have affiliated with your store could turn into an absolute treasure trove, because you could be handling, you could do a quick lane, bumpers and wheels only, and you get same day out for all the dealers that are in that auto row. You'll become their go-to guy. And again, no insurance, no claims. You just put it out there.
Cash and carry. It's like
Cash and carry.
right?
Then the last thing, and I want you to address all these, I hope you remember them all. The last thing is what we used to do when I had my dealerships, and I'm sure you do it now. If the car came in on the body shop side, not the restoration shop, body shop side, the first thing I would have the service manager do, especially if it's a newer car, I'd run for recalls. I'd run for recalls and I'd run for warranty work, because part of what they're going to be doing is hopefully either fixing it themselves or sending it back to our shop to fix under either warranty or under the fact that need be, this has a leak, this is that, and whatever. And all of a sudden, you opened up an additional work order on that particular car. So now you got two work orders going on one car that you would never have had before if you didn't have that body shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, own good points, Greg. I mean, absolutely fascinating when you really think about it, because going to the first one, which is the buy sell, right? To your point, I've seen deals get dicey because the new buyer is not a body shop guy. You know, everybody has different sentiments in business, right? I mean, there's guys who just don't like body shops. It's not their thing. You can stand on your head and tell them it's great. It doesn't matter. That's not what they want to do. All they want to do is sell and repair cars. That's it. So they have an opportunity to buy a great store that happens to have a body shop that's doing well. And what I find in those deals is that if the body shop is a recon body shop, to your point also, again, as I mentioned earlier, those are the ones that really, really can do well, because in fact, you and I were looking at a deal. If you remember, I was looking to buy a store with you. We had the opportunity to build that body shop back up. And what we realized is that we were in dealer row, and we said, we don't have to go retail. We could just knock on doors and grab 10 cars from this guy, 15 cars from that guy, you know, et cetera.
Exactly.
Just walk the lane, and on a monthly basis, you're going to do, 50, 60, 30, 70, depending what the volume is, could be even more. Recon, you're talking wheel repair, dents, door dings, bumpers, not the real crazy critical stuff. And again, it's just a great opportunity. I've seen deals where the guy says, no problem, you don't want the body shop, I'm going to keep the body shop. Let me see what I can do with it. And then they perform, they run the business, and they either keep it or they sell it to somebody else who's to the guy who's a real body shop operator, maybe a mile, 2 miles down the road. So that has to be definitely part of the discussion. And to your point, the financials. I mean, a lot. I find that when you have a recon center, let's call it that, right? If you have a full recon center, usually that's part of the financials. That's usually part of the franchise, because you're transferring costs into the RO, into the inventory. So you want to see, by looking at the financials in the overall spectrum of the store, you can have better analysis as opposed to doing it separately. But if you're running a full body shop where you're taking customers in, Geico's there, and State Farm, and everybody else, and consumers are bringing their vehicles in, usually I find those guys run separate financial statements, because that makes sense, because you're running that business now on a completely different grid. Again, it's a matter of what the dealer thinks they want to do or what they're going to do and how they're going to approach it. Many different roads you can go with the body shop, which is
Yeah.
why we're having
Yeah.
this podcast about it, because people think body shops, they just think the first thing they think is a banged up car coming into the shop and being repaired. Yes, that's one aspect, but there's so many more, and more dealers who have the physical capacity to put a recon center in their facility are doing it because it just makes sense for expediency. Right now, the cost is high, and time is money.
Yeah. Well, we have to look at, like you just said perfectly, you have to look at two things. Number one, if it does have a body shop, why is it profitable? Why is it not profitable in the sell side? You have to look at that. Number two, buyer. Are you familiar with body shops? Do you want to be familiar with the body shop? The buyer may say, I don't want to deal with it. I'm not familiar with it. Even though you can bring over maybe all the personnel from the existing body shop on the buy sell and run it, they're not comfortable with it. So if they're not comfortable with it, we don't push it on them. We may offer up a manager or someone who has experience running a body shop or, as you say, a recon center, and we may offer that up. But we're not going to push any dealer into a body shop situation unless they're really, really comfortable with it, because it could be a hole in the wall. It really could be a tough one.
Yes.
Unless it's handled properly. Now, let's get back to handling it properly. Or, hey, Joe, I want a body shop, but the dealer that I'm buying doesn't have a body shop. What do I do next? And as Joe mentioned before, and I'll throw it back to you in a second, does your state or municipality allow a body shop, a new body shop? And if it does, how do I get one?
Yeah, and that's where recon centers have a little bit of an edge, because a recon center versus a glorified large body shop that's doing a lot of painting. It's got 2 or 3 booths running 24/7. The qualifications and the necessities for that shop are much higher than just a standard recon shop. A recon shop, if you have the right evaporating systems and everything is sealed off to a certain area, and even the state of like New Jersey will play ball with you.
Yeah.
But if you get deeper than that, where you're doing really a lot of more, you're pulling transmissions out because it was a no shot and the engine leaking oil and all of that. I mean, people, it's not just a repair; it's also all the ingredients are in that car that are scattered in that shop that have to be contained, besides just paint. So with recon, you're not doing that. Recon, you're taking the rims off, you're putting them in the machine, polishing them, refurbishing them. Same thing with a little door ding or a bumper. You're putting some Bondo on there, sanding it down, throw a little acrylic and paint, put it in the pan, and and comes out. So again, the regulations are not so stringent on that. So those are really, really important considerations, because as at the beginning of the podcast, we talked about where you do business does have a big impact, because again, some counties are just very difficult states, and other places are more gracious.
Yeah. Let me ask you, in your experiences, do you have your fix op director running the body shop as well, responsibility over the body shop, or do you keep them as 2 separate managers so that you have accountability?
No, I keep them 2 separate. I keep them 2 separate managers. This way, one guy's got to focus on getting those cars repaired in the shop, warranty, customer, forward facing, etc. And the other guy's doing the same thing, but he's doing it on a different level and also at the same pressure. Time is money. How fast can you turn those cars around? Are you maximizing the technicians? Are you keeping them busy? Do you have the right technicians? Do they need more skills to get faster and better? No different than your regular mechanical shop. So you've got to treat both identical, but separately, and apply ruthless pressure to both managers to say, this is my expectation. This is what I want. This is what I'm looking for, and stay with them and see what's needed to get into the next level. But if you join them, I find that it becomes an issue, because it becomes also a blame game. Well, I gave it to him last week, and he, all the stories start because you're doing this, and by holding each person individually responsible, they're gonna act that way, and they know that you're looking at that. So for me,
we've got about 4 or 5 minutes left. Let's talk about OEM approval. The OEM needs to know that if you have a body shop there or not. I mean, it's not something you could hide, because if it's within the facility, it's part of the OEM franchise per se. Now, the question is, we've gotten pretty good at getting body shops through with the OEMs as we, package them in with the service department and everything else. But you as a buying dealer I think you have to step back and say, number one, like we started the show, do I really want this? Yes, it's a potential profit center. Yes, it's potential speeding up of recon. Yes, it's a potential outside recon center for the mile-long dealers that are in my market area that I could service independently. But do you really want it? And I think that's what we spend a little bit of time, Joe, you and I, and Hal does, of course, on really counseling our buying dealers, not our selling dealer. He has nothing to do with it anymore. Our buying dealer as to what they want and what they don't want. So as you give us a call, as you really think about buying the franchise or selling the franchise today, either way, keep in mind looking at your other departments. Are there any other departments? Do you have an F&I department that may run a little independent of the dealership because you have a separate agreement with the F&I company to furnish services? Are any of the other things like that? Do you have a concierge service, that some sort of kind of delivery service that's independent? These are all the things that we need to get into with you. They're all potential profit centers, but they also are potential areas of responsibility that take away revenue from the store. So
Yeah,
we've gotten
absolutely.
pretty good at that. So
Yeah.
please allow us to do that when you give us a call. I want to do a couple of shameless plugs, and then, Joe, you can wrap it up for us. Shameless plug number one. Hal, where are you? We miss you. Okay. That's shameless plug number one. Number one, dealerconfidentialpodcast.com. Go to it, register it. When you see the podcast today, at the end of the podcast, you'll see advertising opportunities. We're talking to a number of dealers, and we're talking to another number of industries that would like to advertise and sponsor our podcast. It's pretty exciting. So we're talking to them now. If you have an interest in either sponsoring and or running small advertisements like we've done before on the podcast, please let us know. And more importantly, on our website. On the website, we can install videos. We can install, direct links to your websites and everything else if you're one of our partners in advertising and marketing. Shameless plug number two, dealer-confidential.com is our official website. In addition to the podcast website, you can go on the Dealer Confidential it's dealer-confidential.com. Say that fast. And that's where you'll see what services we really do give you guys and gals, and what services we render outside potentially of the OEM, whether it's appraisal, property appraisals, and things like that. So those are the shameless plugs. But we would love to have you on as an advertiser. And we would love to have you send your email to us, and we'll get you out Hal's white paper, which he told me he's going to write over the week while he's away. He's going to write a new white paper for us, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Okay, Joe, sum it up for us.
Yeah, your last point was important, OEM, and that is a major consideration for someone who is considering opening a body shop. Because with certain OEMs right now, with the aluminum bodies that are out there, the equipment that's required for that is extremely, extremely expensive. Not only is it expensive, but you do also require special technicians that know how to work with aluminum, which is a completely different path than the old school metal sheets. So that is a very, very costly. Again, you can make a lot of money. It can become very productive without a doubt. But something, again, these are the considerations. There's pros and cons, and that's why as I said earlier, the emotions of the dealer run up and down depending on what scenario may be. But take that into again, if you're looking to open one or an appetite for it, depending on your manufacturer, a lot of them do run aluminum bodies and composites. So those are some really big considerations to think about.
Excellent points.
But great business. It is profitable, again, what I'm seeing more recon centers, and then what's happening. This is just what my personal. I see more dealers going to building their own recon centers because that's easy to control to some degree, and the body shops are dealing with body shop work. They're the experts at that. They have their relationships with Geico and State Farm and everybody else, so they can move things along faster because that's their expertise, right? So
exactly,
I see that's the way it's dissecting. It's either one or the other, or none.
Yeah, exactly. And it is quite expensive, as you know. I mean, a spray booth is a couple of $100,000, and alignment racks and straightening racks are another $100,000. It's a lot of money, but it could be worth it. Interesting. A couple of my students in my class, as you know, are coming to me because they know that I have and/or still stay in my restoration work and my collector cars, and they want to do a restoration shop, which I thought was interesting.
Wow.
There are a couple of them. One of them from last semester actually has now he calls them a tuner shop. I think I mentioned that last podcast. Yeah. And he's tuning Nissans, suspension wise and engine wise and turbos and all that other wonderful stuff.
That's how it starts.
Yeah. The so
It's
the
like the old days, you used to put the blowers in, right? The blowers.
yeah. Now
And
now it's
then
turbos.
you change the hood,
Yeah.
change the tailgate,
Yeah, and put your body flares on and all that other stuff. So I just thought I'd share that. So it may be a trend happening with our younger students and younger entrepreneurs, either getting into restoration or getting into the body shop work, and God knows that there's a ton of opportunities for new employees and students in the body shop world.
Yeah, the
Okay,
industry is desperate. If mechanical technicians are already difficult,
yeah, huge,
body shop technicians are even more difficult
yeah.
because there's less of them. So the pool is smaller. So
Joe,
definitely that is great news to hear that because
yeah,
we desperately need it.
I think we got through this.
Yeah.
Hal, how'd we do? Text us. Tell us how we did today. Enjoy your family, Hal. We miss you. And we'll start again next week. Joe, any idea what you want to talk about next week? I have a couple ideas. I don't know.
You mentioned F&I.
Hmm.
In fact, I sent you an email this morning with NADA had the FTC on a couple of days ago, and they had about all the regulations. There's a lot going on with the dealer body, with that department, with sales in general, but it always falls a lot on the F&I department because
Yes.
that's where signatures are done, that's where credit applications are done, that's where exposure to the consumer information is happening, and so I think we should help dealers, just to make sure that they're focused on FTC regulations, what's happening, where it's going. That video I sent you was pretty enlightening as to
Yeah, I saw it.
what they're looking at right now. Right now, their big hot button is the pricing control that dealers can advertise properly, and we'll get into that. But I think that would be a good subject.
Okay.
It has a lot of nuts and bolts and help dealers out to
Yeah.
figure this out.
So let's do that. Our next podcast will be an F&I, and part of that is going to be liabilities. When you're buying that franchise, are you assuming any of these liabilities that Joe just mentioned? Understood that it's a new corporation. Usually the new corp is shielded from any pre-existing rules, regulations, and violations and enforcement from old corp because you're not assuming any of it. But that doesn't mean that you can't be sued because a nuisance suit is a nuisance suit. You may have to deal with it. Customer's going to say, "Hey, I bought the car from you, Joe, and I don't care who owns the store now." So we're going to deal with that. That's going to be a great subject, and maybe we get a guest speaker on. I have a couple ideas I'll share with you later as to.
Yeah. I know one or two people that might want to
Excellent. Okay, let's do it. Okay.
Yeah.
So good show. Thank you.
All right.
Next
Everybody
time.
take care.
Okay.
All right.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye.